Hi, it's Ingra, and today we are going to be learning how to do a little doily looking crochet piece. You can use these for several different things. You can use them for washing your face. You can use them for wiping off the counter. What I think I might be using them for is coasters, so just for a drink to sit on. So I thought it would be a fun one to show today. And first of all, I also want to say a shout out to Imagine It Yarn Store in Omaha, Nebraska. That's where I got these different yarns, beautiful yarns, and this one's falling apart because I've been pulling a bunch of string off of it. But I'm planning to make a basket out of this and put these in the basket. I think it'll be kind of a fun combination. So I might do a little show on the basket at some future date. We'll see. All right, now to start out, and again, because I had so many strings going awry on this, I ended up wrapping it on a figure eight and putting it back on this piece. So I'm going to start from my figure eight so that I'm not getting tangled up. And basically, and you're going to want to be in view of my hands at this point. So how are we going to do that, Ingra? All right, let's do this. And so here we are, and I'll turn a little bit so you can see. Here we are, and I'm gonna first make a circle. I go around 3 times, and with my nifty crochet hook, it's a 4.5, if anybody's interested. I'm gonna go through like so, and through like so, and then we've got a little start, and we've got a circle made. So here's our little circle. And we want to have the yarns in the right place. We've got the tail on the right and the working yarn on the left. And basically the first is a double crochet. And because I have 2 of the strands, I was pulling from the middle of the yarn cake and the outside of the yarn cake. I have actually 4 strands I'm needing to get through each time I do that double crochet move. So that's 2, 3, and because I'm working on that, that's going pretty slowly. So if you want to speed it up till I'm through this part, feel free. I'll try not to say anything really important. 4, and I get caught every once in a while. 5. I try to stretch it up enough that I can clear the loops. And I push it in together. 6. And we're aiming for 12. Take some more of the yarn. 7. Push it in. 8. And I'm still a pretty tight crocheter. I would like to loosen up a little bit, because what makes that kind of hard is when we go to, and this is 9, when we go to cinch in that circle, it's pretty tight, and sometimes I struggle with that. 10. So I'm trying to loosen up a little bit here. It helps me, 11, to be teaching this to somebody else, because then I can see where I need some work. So I appreciate anybody who's learning from me will know that I'm still learning. All right, so there's 12. So then what we want to do is we pull these strands, and again, I have this so tight that so we're basically cinching in that to make a circle. And now I've yanked out some of this yarn, so so I'll cinch it in as much as I can, and then we go to cinch close the circle. Let me make sure I'm grabbing the right tail here. And so we do a slip stitch, which is basically pulling a loop through. And then we've got our initial circle. All right, so then the next row, and you can see here is the first row, that little circle. This next row is a double crochet, but 2 in the same loop. So as we go around, here's our first loop. We go 1, oops, okay, you gotta do this first. And again, because I've done it so tight, it's a little tricky. There's 1. And if anybody is a crocheter and actually had an interest in watching this, please let me know where I could improve. I'm always looking to improve. And then you do an extra stitch, just a single crochet. I'm tangled up in my doilies here, to go to the next hole. So here we are, and we go look for the next hole. Here's the next hole, and we double crochet twice in that hole. And I'm going to try to loosen up my crochet stitches here, because if you loosen up, you can also go a little faster. And again, if you find yourself drifting off while I'm doing this crochet, you can certainly fast forward through to the next step. But basically what we're ending up doing is double crocheting twice in each of the 12 stitches that we just made. So that will bring us to 24 double crochets. And we find the next hole, stretch, stretch, there's the next hole. And I look forward to the day when I feel like I'm a more consistent crocheter. That day has yet to come. But I do enjoy the final product, and these go pretty quickly, is what I notice. Of course, this isn't going to go pretty quickly now that I'm not paying attention here. Okay, so there's 2 in that hole. Then we do an extra stitch, and that extra stitch just gives us a little more of a diameter in our circle so that it's not bunching up. Okay, there's the next hole. Double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. Do another one. Whoops. Do another one in that same hole. Double crochet. And we'll get some more of our yarn here. And this is a very pretty yarn. It was in the, so then we do an extra loop there. it was in the section where you could also get yarn for scrubbies. So that kind of yarn is almost a plasticky type yarn, and it's got little hairs on it, or whatever you would call the little pieces that are sticking out of it, and they're stiff and plasticky, and so it makes a good scrubby when you crochet it. Now, I've never tried to crochet that kind of yarn before. I don't know if it would be really itchy. Oh, and that is Jazzy Bird singing up a song for us. He always, every time I try to do any kind of recording, he is right there with me. So it would be hard to have a recording studio in this house with Jazzy Bird. All right, so then we do an extra stitch, find the next hole, double crochet, loosen up some more yarn, double crochet again in that same hole, and do an extra stitch. Then we find the next hole, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet again in the same hole, double crochet, double crochet, and then an extra stitch. Find the next hole, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, another double crochet in the same hole, double crochet, and an extra stitch. Pull some more yarn, find the next hole, double crochet, double crochet again in the same hole, extra stitch. Then it looks like we're getting pretty close to the end here. It looks like I have one more hole. So we double crochet, loosen it up, double crochet again in that same hole, one and two, and an extra stitch will do. And then we go to look for where we need to connect it back up. So right here, and a stitch from above. If you've never crocheted, here's what the stitch looks like from above. It has a front leg and a back leg, and we want to go in through both, capture the whole stitch, and pull this through. Oops, and I'm double crocheting, which we don't want to do when we're finishing it off. We're basically finishing this round, and I'm going to go in and pull this through as another slip stitch. So that's basically finishing that round. So now we have 2 rounds, and as you can see from this example, we need 3 rounds, and the third round has little bumps. So here's how the bumps are made. We double crochet, and we find, okay, so that's that hole. We find the next hole, we double crochet, and this time we're double crocheting 3 times into that hole. So it's sort of a 1, 2, 3 doily. Had to get some more yarn there. Okay, so there's 1. 2, 3, and no extra bump. We just go right into the next stitch and do a slip stitch. So slip this over, and there's one bump. Then we find the next hole here. 1, 2, 3, 'tighter here. And the tension piece is important, because if you don't have enough tension, you can go haywire, but if you have too much tension, it can also be a headache. So you have to figure out what your tension should be. And basically what I'm doing here is another slip stitch, because now we have 2 bumps. 2 bumps. And it's sort of making a little flower looking opening there. So then we go and we find the next hole. Here's the next hole. There's 1. Oh, and I see a problem. I see a problem. Okay, so if I wanted to stay with this design, with this wider teardrop, I could go this route. But what I really want, and I must not have seen it when I was doing my first stitches, this is the stitch, and there's a little loop under it. So this is really what I want to have stretched open, so that when, and I hope you can see what I'm doing. This is the stitch, but I was making a bigger hole than I want. This is really the hole I want to go through, but you can see there's like this secondary piece, and that's not where I want to go, because that's how we were making those big teardrops, and I don't want that big a teardrop. So we will try this again and go through the right hole. First I have to make the hole big enough that I can see it. I think that's what my problem was. Here it is, right here. Okay. And you normally, if you're a consistent crocheter, this wouldn't be such a struggle, but because I had done some of those first stitches so tightly, I think that's why I didn't see that. And it's a little confusing with me having doubled strands. But I wanted a little thicker, and I wanted this certain color of yarn, but I wanted a little thicker look, and so that's why we have the double strands. But that is a bit of a headache, so I'm not sure I would recommend that. You might want to just get a thicker yarn. All right, so now we're ready to go and do our slip. But that's probably good for you to see my pitfalls here, so that you can learn what to avoid. So now we're in the next one, and see how easy it would be to go into that big hole there? That's how I managed to do that. But really what we want is just that top stitch, this one. So I'm going to open that up so it's clearer to me where I need to go. And I can tell you that ripping out stitches is such a common thing that they call it frogging, because you rip it, ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. So they call that frogging. Just to make it fun that you had to rip out stitches. Ribbit, ribbit, These are my kind of people, these fiber arts people. All right, see, I'm getting a little tight again. So I have to be cautious of my tension finger here because I'm getting a little too tight, and I don't want to do that. I want to have it more relaxed. And the other thing, when you're crocheting or knitting so tightly, your hands will start getting numb, or you'll start feeling. Okay, so now we want to take this stitch, this little guy that I guess got yanked so much that he's really small now. Hate it when that happens. But that's the one we want to do the slip stitch through. And because I'm dealing with it so tight, it's hurting my hand. I'm starting to get numb hands. So that's another reason to just relax, loosen up. That's just an Ingra challenge. All right, so now we will go into this hole. One. Uh-oh, now I caught a loop that I shouldn't catch. Oh, I think it goes here. I think it goes there. There it is, okay. Hey, Jazzy Bird. All right, so now I'm too loose, so it's a delicate balance. So there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. 2, 3, and then we do a third one. 2, 3, but you can see what's a little complex about it is the making sure you're going through the right stitch. And the way you can help that is to look above, because you can see those stitches from above pretty well. So if I go above, I can see that I want to do my slip stitch. Wait, did I do my slip stitch already? It looks like I already did my slip stitch. So now we go to this one where, again, I could go in that big gap, but that's not really where I want to go. Especially if I'm using these as coasters, I want them thicker than that. So I think this is my stitch. Let me make sure. From above. Looks like it. See, I pulled that one so tight. Plus, when I ripped it out, I pulled things a little tight. Oops. Okay, I think that's my stitch. So I'm going to pull that tight. Maybe I shouldn't pull it too tight, though, because that's making it difficult every time I go to the next stitch. All right, so here we have this and this. And is that going to work? Oh, I'm going in the wrong one. That's why it's not working. All right, so that does really help to look from above. I highly recommend looking from above, especially if you're new to crocheting. And I'm pretty new to crocheting. I learned to crochet 50 years ago, but I haven't really done anything in recent years to speak of. So, all right, now I'm back to my knot. So how will I handle this, you ask? I will just pull it off and we'll say a little prayer. Lord, help that to loosen up. And I won't make you sit through me pulling knots out if that doesn't loosen up. We'll just show you how to finish it off on a bump before we get to the end. Okay, so I gotta find that loop again. There it is. Boom. Okay. See, I'm a little looser now. It's just a matter of keeping that consistent. And of course, if I'm fighting with knotted yarn, then that's a pickle that I've gotten myself into. Yarn is a challenge. There are several different ways yarn comes, and this came in a cake, what they call a cake, and or a bullet. This might have been called a bullet. I don't know. It was pretty cakey. It was pretty cakey looking. But those sometimes you can take as is. Now other yarn, which might come in a skein or, you know, in the raw, freshly spun type of yarn, you're going to want to put on a winder or wind it manually into a ball. You can have a center pull ball. Oh, did I do 4 stitches in there? Hilarious. Okay, so I just did 4 double crochets in the same hole, so I'm going to take one out. Boom, boom, boom. This is good. I'm showing all kinds of fix-it type things, which is good for me. It's good for me to know how to fix things. All right, so then we're going into this stitch and doing a slip stitch like so. All right, so we've basically done 4 bumps, and I'm not going to make you wait through the whole thing because I know I'm going to have knots to deal with here. So basically what you do when you finish is you do that last slip stitch, pull it through, and you can pull this out. What I do is I clip it, I put this through here, and then I probably do more than the average bear. I take it, and I'll show you on this other piece. Let me get my needle here. I have my yarn needle somewhere. There it is. Okay, so I take my yarn needle and I take one piece, and I'll do the middle one so you can see, and I basically would do the outside one just the same. So I take one piece through a loop. I don't know if you're seeing what I'm doing. Through a loop or 2. I think I've got a couple loops there. And that way it has the ability to tie a knot around that loop. So right over left, cinch it up, left over right. Oh, and we want to do it on the back side, which we are. Okay. Left over right, cinch it up, and then I do another right over left. So that's basically a square knot and a half. And then I go through some loops like so. Rethread the needle. Pull that through. Go through a few more loops. Oops, about to lose it. And an easy way to thread a yarn needle is to, or any needle, is to put your yarn over it, pinch it, and then you have a little more substantial, stiff piece to stick through the eye of the needle. Okay, so then we've gone enough that way. Then I skip over a loop or 2 and go back where we came from, like so. And sometimes it does get tight. I have kind of a wide eye on my yarn needle. If I had to pick it again, I'd probably use a different needle, but this is the one I have right now. And then I go through a few more loops, basically back where we started, thereabouts. But I try to get them so that it's not too hard to pull the yarn needle through. So that was probably a bad idea to do it that way, but we're gonna make it work. It's however you want to do it. There's no right or wrong way. You just want to weave it through enough that it's not going to pull out. So basically, you know, when the wear and tear of this gets going, you're not going to pull that needle out. So then we have our little scissors. Let me get my scissors and clip it. And I clip it right to the piece. Some people leave extra yarn out, but I don't like that look, and I've never had a trouble with it coming back through, so I don't have a fear of that coming out. It's done. So that's the same thing you would do once you're finished with all the bumps. Then you would go to the back and weave it through and clip it off, and you're done. And so I hope that was helpful and inspiring in some way. I am having a good time getting back into fiber arts. I didn't realize I would be enjoying this so much. And so I'm noticing things like I pull too tight sometimes, which is me. I'm you know, it's that overachiever type thing. And I need to loosen up and relax and chill and be able to have a little, looser style. And but it's been fun learning again, and it's fun to teach what I've learned. That always helps me, and I appreciate anybody who's sitting and watching this and learning themselves. I hope that it is inspiring you to get some needles and some yarn and have some fun. And until next time, the next time I will be on the Facebook channel, on the Ingra Anderson Magnabilities Jewelry Facebook channel on Tuesday for our Tuesdays 10 at 2, where we look at 10 different sets of Magnabilities jewelry or other gadgets that we sell. And of course, in hopes that that will inspire you to do a little retail therapy at ingraanderson.magnabilities.com. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.